Over the next months, Clough will be bringing you expert series podcasts from some of the exciting technology projects we're engaging in and some of the new engineering that we're bringing to the world. Welcome to episode 2 of Clough's Expert Series podcast. I'm Jillian Formentin, and every month I'm bringing you experts from our team of Clough engineers to talk to us about the engineering we're bringing to life in our projects and studies. Today, we are talking to Michael Christ. Now, Michael Christ is a senior project engineer with Clough, and he's used his foundation as a civil engineer to become a truly multidiscipline engineering lead with strong project engineering experience across all sorts of projects, onshore, nearshore, engineering and procurement, construction and management, projects related to oil and gas, minerals and water industries. He's worked on projects where there's nothing, we call those greenfield projects, but also brownfield projects where there's already infrastructure. You've got to work in between what's already there. So we're going to talk to Michael about his work with Clough over the last 11 years, and particularly some very interesting forward-thinking projects that Michael's worked on, including the hydrogen readiness of power stations. Okay, so welcome, Michael. We're going to talk to you about all sorts of projects in the future today, but would you mind starting by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself, but some of your family and your interests?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I guess, I'm born and raised in WA. I'm sort of first generation from a Dutch father who came across in the 70s, and many generational Australian on my mum's side. They both met in the romantic paradise city of Carnarvon. I grew up a little bit up there at the start of my life, and since moved down to Ashfield, and living along the eastern suburbs along the Midland train line. So, look, I've grew up in WA and spent my whole life here. It's with Clough that I've been able to sort of stretch my wings a bit and sort of travel interstate and sort of internationally. But yeah, it's been a long sort of time for me here in Perth. Yeah, so I met my partner Emma during high school. We've been together 14, 15 years now, and just celebrated the birth of our first daughter.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Ada. She's 5 months old now. She's brilliant. It's great having an extra smiley face around the house. So I still live out east. We live in Guildford now. We bought a 1910 railway cottage that's, just as a 1910 railway cottage would be, full of the need for renovations. And we spent the last 7 years working on that.
Oh, wow, that's a huge commitment.
Yeah, it is, and it's overwhelming at first, but, as you get into it, it's actually quite addictive, and you can sort of know when to stop. When I'm not renovating, I'm sort of woodworking and, just keeping busy around the house. So, spend a lot of time at Bunnings, a lot of money at,
I bet you do.
A lot of money at Bunnings. When I'm not at Bunnings, I'm, trying to stay fit and go for a bit of a bike ride and a bit of a run every now and again. But, it's a time balance these days, and probably don't do it as much as I should. So, yeah.
Well, it is warming up again now and the weather's nice for cycling. We'll be seeing you out there.
Excuses are running out.
Oh, well, thank you very much for joining us today. And I, when we were talking the other day, you were sharing with me a bit about some of the traditional fueled power stations, because there's a real hot topic at the moment, like all sorts of organisations are beginning to deal with, they have been dealing with for some time. How do they reduce the carbon, and what are we going to do about that? And I know Clough's had quite a bit to do with some of these projects. Would you please tell us a bit about your recent experience with the study that we did? Yeah, so look, my recent experience was for a concept study, sort of pre-feed type work to help a client who'd owned and operated a gas-fired power plant over in New South Wales for many years. They were in the process of upgrading their existing facility with a peaking power plant right next door to basically supply New South Wales growing power demands. I think we've got a couple of projects at the moment that are sort of aligned to that sort of same sort of train of thought. But yeah, basically our study was to assist them in understanding what additional infrastructure they would need as part of this new build to accommodate a
basically a blended green hydrogen fuel mix into their gas turbine to,
So when we say green hydrogen, what does that mean?
So that's using renewable energy sources to basically harvest hydrogen predominantly from water sources. So passing electric currents through water to then basically generate this gas that you can store and treat like a battery. It's nothing more than a battery.
Very good.
Long shelf life hydrogen if you store it correctly.
And don't let it get out.
That's
Very
it.
good.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting. Pretty important work.
Yeah, tell me a bit about why do you think it's important to do this?
Well, look, first and foremost, it was to help our client sort of meet their environmental approval needs. They'd signed up to build this new gas-fired power plant on the basis that they could inject green hydrogen into their power plant and co-fire it. It's also to capitalise on the government-funded grant to do so, right? So the Australian government's very serious about developing what they're calling hydrogen hubs around Australia. And in order to develop that with private enterprise or private industry, they're subsidising the creation of a need or ultimately a selling point for a hydrogen industry to, ensure that they're going to have some costs being covered and profits being made. So in taking the government grant and ensuring their power station could take the hydrogen fuel source, we're creating a need for a hydrogen hub to develop around this location that we're building in New South Wales. So it's important from that aspect. And it's important that we develop these kind of hubs because Australia has a long and very, well-documented history of exporting product, right? So mining, oil and gas, hydrogen is just the next available industry for us to sort of capitalise on and, product to export.
Yeah,
and, see that we're moving into the 21st century into something that we can, continue to, I guess, benefit from for future generations. So, yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I've been with Clough now 3 months, right? And I'm really enjoying getting to know a lot of the brilliant engineers here. And I'm really interested in what your view is, Michael, about Clough's ability to help industry confront these big questions, right? Because Clough's been around for 100 years, and some people might say that we're, good at all the traditional stuff, but new stuff maybe not so much. But what, you've been here 11 years. What would you say to people that would think that?
Oh, look, I mean, hydrogen is an emerging market. It's new, but Clough's by no means inexperienced in hydrocarbons. We've got a long history in WA and I guess nationally and sort of some degree internationally in hydrocarbon markets. So look, we're very well versed and field tested in the complexities and challenges of those type of industries, and a lot of those skills and experiences and projects that we worked on are transferable into this new market. I mean, we're a truly multidisciplinary engineering led company. We ultimately have clients within our company that are situated in procurement, construction, so commissioning, management, turnkey type, delivery sort of in-house capability. But we can manage the full project spectrum from concept through to handover to a client, and we have been proven to do so in challenging environments. So look. That being said, we're also not afraid to strategically partner with other companies who can bridge some of the experiences and expertise, skill sets that we may not have. And we do that with nationally recognised companies, or to a larger extent, internationally recognised companies who are at the forefront of development in these new technologies. So, look, we're a 100-year-old company with firm set of values and excellent working culture, and I think what sets us apart is that no matter how hard the task may be, is we always find a way to deliver, and we'll align ourselves to deliver.
Yeah, very good. Because Michael, you're I was really excited to hear about your career so far, because you started with Clough as a student, a vacation student, and then you were a graduate, and now you're a senior engineer now.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a bit about what have been your favourite projects? What are the things that you've loved the most?
Yeah. So look, I've had the experience of so when I started 13 years ago during student vacation work, I was involved in some pretty high level earthquake studies and preliminary designs for warehouse buildings in Papua New Guinea. Using all American based codes and stuff I was completely unfamiliar with compared to what my Australian educational upbringing taught me. So. Wow. That was an eye opener. When I first started at Clough, I was lucky enough to join a pretty successful tender team that bid and won a lot of work for the Ichthys project up in Darwin. So that was with a joint venture partnership with BAM, who we've been in a joint venture partnership with for over 50 years now. So that, when I talk about strategic partnerships to bridge gaps in our understanding, that was one that we identified 50 years ago.
50 years, that's a long history of partnership, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's that's been a real sort of I guess strong partnership that's lasted purely through mutual respect and understanding between both parties, right? And we bring that to the table with every joint venture that we sign up with.
Yeah, it gives people an opportunity to learn too, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, moving forward from that, I jumped into the Mundaring Weir project, and we teamed up with GHD in that environment. They had a long history with the Water Corp. We had a long history of delivering very challenging work, and that was one of them. After that, we teamed up with Suez, who are technology innovators in the water treatment and processing space. So we basically executed the Beanyup Advanced Wastewater Recycling Plant with them, and that was reasonably successful as well. I mean, we ultimately delivered on a project that was challenging and met the goals of what the client was after for their 2050 vision that they had. But yeah, look, I mean, yeah, that's basically a bit of my time at Clough. I'd say probably of what I was most proud of during that time was the Mundaring Weir project. Right?
Yeah, tell us a bit about what you're most proud about. Because I'm an engineer, and I studied engineering because it's like bringing things to life.
That's right.
So what was that like for you?
So for me, Mundaring Weir, it was the smallest project I've ever been involved with to date, but it's steeped with history in Perth. So it was orchestrated by our first premier, John Forrest, and who was also the namesake of my high school, by the way. So strong connection there, and had one of the most famous West Australian engineers, C.Y. O'Connor, who unfortunately met his fairly untimely passing on that project before it reached validation, basically. So it's got a lot of history surrounding it. Every civil engineer at university knows the story. I guess for me, being able to work on something that had that history, knowing that I guess I was contributing to the next 50 to 100 years of that sort of piece of infrastructure was a really big sort of moment for me. It was also a very challenging project.
You understand there were real intricacies that needed to be dealt with.
Yeah, so real intricacies and real large degree of unknowns. I mean, it's 100 years old. There was documented changes to the dam. It was raised in the 50s, but a lot of it was still sort of vague and had a lot of grey areas there that we had to uncover. We uncovered those grey areas with divers, rope access technicians hanging 40 metres down a dark tower. They stripped out 15 tonne of steel and pipework and excavated about half a metre of concrete at the base of that dam. We relined 100-year-old cast iron pipes that stretched 40 metres through the base of the tower. We lifted in a 40-tonne stainless steel liner and graded that in position, and we sent a remotely operated underwater coring rig we sort of bespoke designed with a local sort of robotics expert in Perth to core a metre diameter hole, 2.5 metres through a concrete wall, 15 metres underwater.
Wow.
It's just mind-boggling stuff for such a small scale of work, Clough size, but real opportunity for me to sort of test myself both technically and from a project management perspective as well. Very small projects, not many overheads you're carrying. You got a lot of responsibility to deliver within budget and schedule. So very, very interesting work for me. And yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So when you look out at the future of your career, like really, 10 or 11 years in, you really still are at the beginning, right? What do you see when you look out at the future? Like, what do you want to contribute to?
Yeah.
What's the future you see?
Well, look, Clough has a lot of interesting work on the horizon, and a lot of it is sort of future industry building. I mean, there's nitric ammonia plants, for example, and urea plants that we're looking at the moment, which are huge. And, we're developing, continuing to develop oil and gas infrastructure up and down the West Coast. But I guess for me, my, sort of main exciting point that Clough brings is the clean water and sort of clean energy future, So we're continuing to work on tendering water corp sort of projects and, strategically partnering with the right design entities there and trying to bring them through the door. But I guess for me, it's that sort of overhaul that I want to be a part of, and want to be able to look back on and say that I was, integral to that development. And, be good for the grandkids.
Very good. Well, congratulations on what's been a really exciting start to your career.
Yeah, no, it's been good. We're a company that's big enough to win exciting work and small enough to give plenty of responsibility. So
yeah, that's a bit of a winning combination, isn't it, for the development of a passionate engineer?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Michael, for a look into the work that you're doing and the future that you're out to create for Ada and your grandchildren.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Please look out for our next month's podcast series where we will bring another aspect of Cloughs engineering to life.